With Final Fantasy 16 hopefully getting re-revealed this Thursday at Sony State of Play, I thought now was a great time to go over something that has worried me for a while with how the game will handle it. That is character progression. My concern is that the extensive skill tree Yoshi P has mentioned in the past will turn out more like Spider-Man PS4 skill tree or Horizon Zero Dawn's, where there's no real guidance or need for it to progress through the story. It just gives you slight upgrades as you progress throughout the game. Final Fantasy has always had good character progression, from the sphere grid in Final Fantasy X to the job board in Final Fantasy XII. The issue is that they always give you the illusion of choice when your goal is to completely fill them out, and in X's case, making every character play the same in the endgame with just spamming quick hit over and over again with the occasional unique overdrive. However, despite this, I think the sphere grid is the system they should absolutely take inspiration from. But there is a game that I believe perfectly encapsulates exactly what I want from a sphere grid type system in Final Fantasy XVI. This is a program called Path of Building. This is for a game called Path of Exile. Now, this does look very overwhelming. There is a lot here. But every class has a different starting point, and they all specialize in different specs, different damage types. You can always, so like for example, Witch, obviously magic based, spell damage, cast speed, energy shield, etc. Right? So you would look at it like this, go, oh, that's overwhelming. But in reality, this is what you're looking at, much smaller. How I want Final Fantasy 16 to do it is have a middle point, and I'm assuming that Clive is going to be the only party member in the game, that you go through, that you start and you can go through to do any build you want. So you don't fill it out. I think this is going to be the best case for the game. And I think it's going to be good for potential speed runs. Multiple playthroughs, so if they eventually put a new game plus in, or if it launches with one, you can go into that and, depending on how respecking works, start new game plus, you go make a different build. And I think that's what the game needs, especially if Clive is the only party member. Now, how this system works, you've got these little nodes here which are very small. You've got, like, for example, this one here, spell damage and intelligence. Very simple. 10% spell damage, 5% intelligence stat. 3% cast speed, 3% cast speed. These are all these little ones are called minor nodes. They are just generic buffs. And these are called notable passives. These are like the little ones, but they are far more powerful. So, for example, this one, 16% increased spell damage, 20% maximum mana. When in Final Fantasy case, that would be MP. 20 plus 20 intelligence. And these are called unique passives, which are obviously unique. So, for example, intelligence, the stat, provides no inherent bonus to energy shield. 2% reduced duration of elemental ailments on you per 15 intelligence. That's good. One is all bonuses from whatever shield you have equipped. This is a looter. Path of Exile is a looter game, so whatever stat you have on your shield applies to your minions. So you wouldn't want, if you're going for a minion build, that might be a good option for you to take. Whereas, where's the other one? I was looking at one before I started recording. So this is what I want. It's for the game to have limited skill points. Like I said, until the game's re-revealed, I'm not gonna know like any sort of details about this. So the way I would make this system in the game is, I don't know, say the game has. So these are some examples that I have quickly put down from straight off top of the head of things that I think can make the builds of the game differ, like be unique. So, for example, each parry or counter, if the game has one, increases damage dealt by 2% for 30 seconds, and then that caps out at 20%. Now, this is good because it's skill based. How it works is, if you get hit, it removes the buffs. So once again, it's skill based, which could also help with if you decide to go for a glass cannon build. Like, so if you just ignore, if the skill tree in 16 has, for example, like health nodes and damage nodes, you completely ignore as many health nodes to get as many damage nodes, and you are confident that you can parry consistently, that'd be good. And then performing a parry counter resets time back to 30. That's good. Another example that I have is using elemental magic infuses your weapon with that element to deal 10% extra magical damage based on the element used. And then that would stack up to 3 times and last 45 seconds. So, say I use fire magic, like just a fireball, that imbues my weapon with 10% fire damage. Fire magic again, 20% fire damage on my weapon. Third time, 30%. Would that be good? I don't know. I'm not a game developer. But I think something like that would be interesting. And then different elements cannot be used. So what I mean by that is, if you use fire and blizzard, you won't get 10% fire, 10% blizzard. If you use fire first and blizzard, you get 10% blizzard. 10% fire, sorry. Then you'd have to use fire again for it to stack. And then also, what I think would make this really interesting to make a physical damage and magical damage hybrid build is that the game would, obviously, if you hit something with just your sword, you deal physical damage. But with this, if you take this in the skill tree, the magic damage is on top of it. So you hit things with your sword, you deal 145 damage, right? But because the magic damage would be added on top of that, you would deal fire damage as a second hit. So I think that would be interesting as well, if they balance it right. And then this next one, just to as a add to this one for help, dodging out of the way from enemy attacks, increase MP regen by 8% for 25 seconds. That's good. That's just little things like this. Then this one, taking damage increases all defenses by 4% for 10 seconds, stacks 3 times. So if you're not good at parrying or counters, this might be a good thing to take. But if you are good, this would be useless, so you wouldn't waste a point on this. And then depending on how, I don't know, how the game works, I have a theory that the game is arena based. You go up to an enemy, hit them, get the traditional like screen cracking, you get sent to an arena. So, and if that's the case, this one means nothing. But if enemies are just out and about, then this one works. But killing an enemy grants 15% movement speed or move speed for 45 seconds. It's not much, but again, this could be used in speedruns. Especially coupled with like parrying, right? Parry in enemies you walk past them. If the AI cooperates with something like that. And then you walk up to an enemy, a weak enemy, kill them. Off you go. You get 15% move speed. You are quicker. So it's not just for combat, right? Like an actual build that it's just I'm really bad at fucking wording this. Just general buffs. Like these are just some quick examples I took off the top of my head, right? I'm sure people who are much better at games, better at designing games, could come up with like 50 more better ones than me, right? But I'm hoping that these give an idea of what I want from a skill tree system in Final Fantasy 16.